Mike's so hot. Go live.
All right. Good evening, everyone. This is the June 25, 2025 open meeting of the Town of Auburn Conservation Commission, which is being operated as a hybrid format under Chapter 22.
This conference will now be recorded.
2022. The public can join the meeting remotely by dialing on your telephone 408-650-3123 and then entering access code 942-845-549. Or you can join via computer at global.go-meeting.com/join/942-845-549. So materials for tonight's meeting have been provided to the commissioners. The public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda. My name is Michael Garland. I'm chairman of the commission. And before we start, let me do a roll call of our members. Megan Langley.
Here.
Michelle Coloras.
Here.
Mark Sclamo.
Here.
Ricky Arizmi.
Here.
Tom Fallon.
Here.
Please also note that the meeting is being recorded by Auburn Cable Television. So without further ado, the first item on our agenda this evening is a 7 p.m. public hearing. Thomas Johnson, a notice of intent to replace a failed septic system and install a private well at 427 Leicester Street. Is there a motion to open?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote. All right. So I believe several of us have been able to go to 427 Leicester Street. I actually went there this afternoon. We have the notice of intent that was submitted by Mr. Dubois along with the plan. The plan that was submitted certainly conforms with the site conditions, at least in my determination. I don't see anything particularly unusual about this filing, but I wanted to see if members of the commission have any comments or thoughts.
I didn't see it, so.
Okay.
I didn't see it either.
All right, okay.
I went with, Tom and I went Saturday, and, I mean, everything looks okay. I mean, they haven't started anything yet.
Right, exactly,
So,
exactly.
you know, have to get, just do whatever he says he's gonna do when he starts the construction.
Exactly. Okay. So, Mr. Dubois had been here at our previous meeting. Again, I think the notice of intent speaks for itself. The plan also certainly details the work that's going to be done. So if there's no comment, unless Ms. Coyle has some comment.
Thank you very much. I am familiar with 427 Leicester Street, and I did do the site soil evaluation with Mr. Dubois. That plan is currently under review.
Okay.
So conservation is one of the review and approvals that we would need in order to move forward.
Certainly. Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
If there is no other discussion, is there a motion to close?
I make a motion to close.
Is there a second?
I second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, it's a vote. All right, the meeting is closed. I am advised that the 7:05 p.m. hearing, Eastland Partners for 50 Washington Street will need to be continued again because they have not received a DEP file number yet, which strikes me as a little odd, but in any event. And then I'm also advised that Mr. Marinus for Rockland Road has also requested that the public hearing in this matter be continued. Tom, can you offer some insight on that?
He sent the notice out that he was not going to be at the planning board meeting or this meeting, so he still is trying to get through the planning board and get the approval for there, and then come to conservation and show what was approved by the planning board as far
Okay.
as for the paving. And I think they believe it, they're working on widening the entrance a little bit for safety so the trucks can make a turn coming in and out.
I know that Emma Williamson had suggested, I think, fairly substantial changes to what they had submitted, including, I think, detention based upon. So I suspect it's going to be a while before we see another plan from them. So do we have a specific date for Rockland Road, or just wait and see what happens?
Just, he continued, requested a continuance to the next meeting on July 9th.
Okay, all right, well, we'll do that, and either it will get continued or won't be continued. For Washington Street, do we think there will be a DEP file number by July 9th?
Don't
We don't know?
Yeah, he hasn't heard.
So, do we have any other matters scheduled for July 9th?
I think there are, I think there's 2 hearings scheduled. 5 Friedel Street,
Okay,
Lynn Kowalski's doing that.
All right.
He just came in and dropped off hard copies and sent the electronic copies today. And what was the other one? The other one was 276 Prospect, the woman that came in, doing an RDA for taking down some ash trees
Right.
that are along that channel there.
all right. So why don't we do this? Can I have a motion to continue 50 Washington Street to 7:15 PM on July 9th?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, it's a vote. And then for Rockland Road, may I have a motion to continue the public hearing to July 9th at 7:20 PM?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, it's a vote. Okay, very good. We have some minutes to go through, if we can do those now. So the first set of minutes are from May 28th. Okay, I would say on the third page, there's just a typo. It's the second paragraph, beginning with my name, and it's just a typo. It should be rain instead of ran, so that's at the end of the first sentence.
Was this in last week's packet, Tom, or
It was from, yeah.
the one you just?
No, 2 weeks ago. It was
2
actually
weeks
2 meetings ago.
ago.
But
I'm
given
never gonna find that.
the extraordinary situation we had because of people being absent, so we decided to just defer acting on these minutes until tonight's meeting.
Oh, yeah, I can't vote on it anyway, so.
That's right.
Okay, there we go, thank you.
Anyway, I've reviewed these. I have no change, except for the change on page 3, which is just a typo. I have no other changes to the meeting minutes.
Me either.
Good.
Okay, is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes from May 28th, 2025 as amended? You can't
I
make
know.
the
So
motion.
moved.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Gotcha. Okay. And then the second set of minutes, meeting minutes are from June 11th.
Did you pass the part?
Sure.
have no changes.
No, I don't either.
Nope. I
All right.
propose we accept the meeting minutes of Wednesday, June 11th, 2025.
Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote. Okay. We have two decisions to issue. We've got an order of conditions for Solitude Lake Management, and then we also have to make a determination for the plant
Actually,
submitted.
doesn't Megan have to be abstained from that
Oh,
vote?
correct, she wasn't, through the chair, she wasn't at the, you weren't at the last meeting, correct? Because you were down.
She was not the last meeting, right.
So it would.
Oh, so I didn't vote.
So
You
the
mean
vote
on
would've been-
these or on something else?
On
Because
June
actually I
11th.
shouldn't have
Oh,
voted on
I'm
these.
sorry.
So
So-
4 and 1.
Sorry.
Sorry, dude.
Let's do it again. So all, with regard to the meeting minutes for June 11th, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Abstain.
Okay, all right, we have a vote. Thank you for that. Okay. Now, with regard to Solitude Lake Management, is there a motion?
Oh, Solitude Lake Management.
That's the Eddie Pond Aquatic Management
Yeah,
Program.
yeah.
For them to restart the
The treatment of, yes,
aquatic nuisance aquatic.
again, this is not your typical,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Order
how
of
do we, I
conditions.
don't know how to do
Well,
that one.
okay.
Have we ever done one for water?
We have. I believe we have.
I don't think I have.
Well, there are certain conditions that would apply.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I knew that. So that is, I read it, like, oh, I
Okay.
have the new set.
We have the new set. Although we're not gonna need to go into that much detail,
Okay.
okay? So I can make suggestions, but I can't make the motion.
I am like all ears.
Yeah, I figured you would be. So, this is just my thought.
Okay.
My thought is that there's no construction going on, so our special condition number 1 doesn't apply. I don't think we've ever requested an as-built plan, again, because no work is being done. It's a treatment of aquatic vegetation and not construction. So I think 2 does not apply. I would say 3 does apply because
does.
we want a signed order to be on, site when they're doing the work. I would submit to you that 4 does not apply.
Can I use your pen?
I would also say that 5 doesn't apply, neither does 6, neither does 7. I think 8 would apply. And I think frankly, and probably 12. So my suggestion, I think, would be that the conditions 3, 8, and 12 would apply. Just my suggestion. So.
How about
does-
15?
Oh, not 15.
We don't really have to do that, but
Well, if we want to take a look, we should reserve the right to do it, so I think 15 is probably not a bad one either.
I don't know if 17 is necessary or not, but just because,
I think 17 probably is not a bad one either. All right. So, does anyone want to make a motion?
I did not write down what we just said.
I can't even remember the wording at the beginning.
Well,
I've given, so,
how about,
Okay,
how about,
okay.
Oh,
Mark?
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead,
No,
Mark.
please.
So I'll make a motion that we, for the Eddie Pond Aquatic Management Program, on the order conditions, we use number 3, number 8, number 12, number 15, and number 17.
In addition to the standard order, correct?
In addition to the standard.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. Okay. And then for CSX. This is in connection with their 5-year vegetation plan.
This was a notice of intent, right?
Now, this is a request for determination of applicability.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So either whether we issue, if we issue a negative determination, we can attach certain conditions, which is what I was gonna suggest.
Yeah.
I will say that in the past, we have generally issued negative determinations, but with provided that we're notified when the work is gonna begin. I know in the past, we've also requested they provide us with a list of herbicides with material safety data sheets as well, so we know what they're using.
Is anybody else concerned about the fact that they just kept ignoring them?
That's something different.
Oh, that's something different,
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, all right, sorry.
That's okay.
I thought we were on that one.
No, we're not talking about that.
We're talking about this
We're
one?
talking about, no, we're not talking about that either. We're talking about CSX. So this is the,
Not paying attention, sorry.
okay, this is their vegetation management plan,
Okay,
and they've come before us in the past. They have, and in the past, they have filed requests for determination of applicability, and the commission in the past has generally issued, in fact, has always issued negative determinations, provided that they provide us with notification when they're gonna do the work, and also provide us with a list of the herbicides they're gonna use with material safety data sheets.
I guess, I thought that we had requested those and that, like, I was thinking that we would get those before we made a decision.
Well, we asked for the list, and, I mean, if you want, I mean, we did close the public hearing, so we have to make a decision.
Through the chair,
Yes,
that was the notice from the gentleman from out in western Massachusetts. It was a local guy.
Mhm.
He provided
this
us.
is Keith Morris, right?
Yeah, he provided us like a link because that document was like 200 pages.
Right,
But that does have like all the chemicals that are being used and all that stuff.
okay.
That was in the package back from March, which I know I still have a copy of. In fact, I probably have a copy of it here.
can I also say one other thing?
Okay.
Didn't we press that one other time and then they just superseded us and did it anyways without giving us any information?
If you want to issue a positive determination and make them file notice of intent, that's certainly within the discretion of the commission.
I don't think I want to do that because I think that if I remember correctly, the last time we pressed that, we wanted those cards sent out to the people that were in that area.
All right.
And they were like, yeah, no, we're not sending out the cards, and then they didn't tell us anything that year at all.
All right.
Like they,
through the chair, then they don't have to send the cards. They're actually exempt from notifying the abutters
exactly,
because
yeah.
of the number of,
Right.
Yeah, see,
So,
the reality is that utilities are treated differently
Yeah.
under the Wells Protection Act. But if you feel that they did not provide us with the information we requested, we can certainly get their attention by filing a notice of, by requiring them to file a notice of intent.
Are there, without filing a notice of intent, are the regulations that are just in place would make, like, will they have to use, for instance, like if they're spraying within X feet of a wetland, do they have to use herbicides that are labeled for use near aquatic environments?
I'm sure they do.
I think he said, and if I was
Yeah.
listening to him, he said that, and they have to take into account wind, they have to take into account rain, they have to take into account all of those things. It's sprayed like I think, what did he say, 10 feet before
yeah.
they actually get to that point, 10 feet after they, leave that, so that they know when they're getting to it, when they're leaving it.
I
think
mean, they
you
have a
asked that
protocol.
question.
It's not like,
Yes, right. I just, like, I was thinking if they were sending a, 200-page document that just lists, like, a number of chemicals they could use, but do they list, like, specifically
There
what
was,
they are
there was
using?
actually like 4 of them specifically that I saw in there.
Right.
I think glyphosate was one of them. Some really oddball, weird name ones never heard of before, but they're specifically for trees.
Did you email that?
You know what, I think I did.
Because I do remember seeing that now, where it
Yeah,
had,
yeah.
like, Aquanit, which is like an aquatic.
Yeah, that was the
aquatic-
email.
It's glyphosate that's formulated
And
for use.
that was that link for railroad
Yeah.
and PYOP from that letter there.
Okay,
So, like,
I do remember seeing
It's a
that.
public record thing, yeah, and it's heavily vetted through the state, through the pesticide board, or regulations too, so he explained at the last meeting.
Okay.
I mean, I think what you get with the notice of intent filing is if you want them to specifically specify the exact chemicals they're going to use, you can probably compel them to do that. And you can also compel them to tell us or give us notification. I mean, it all depends on how much oversight you want to have over this application. I'm not, and believe me, I can see, the pros and cons of either giving a negative determination or giving a positive determination. I mean, obviously our concern is the public and the public health, and I mean, my sense is that they are addressing those concerns. If you feel that they could give us more information,
It's actually listed in
then
that letter.
the way to go would be to give them a positive determination and then make them go through, file notice of intent and give us the additional information. And again, I don't know if any other municipality has done that.
Yeah,
I
could
think-
you just, pass that
I
around?
think that my biggest thing is that the way that they were notifying the public when they were going to be spraying, because I think that they said that they were going to be doing it primarily by newspaper. Is that true? If I was, I think I was,
They
it
put an
was
ad
gonna
when they
be- they
spring
were
in
gonna be
town,
putting
yeah,
a-
like
that is, I don't know very many people that read the newspaper anymore.
Well, I mean, again, it's, it's a legal act, if it was a filing for the probate court, you publish it in the Telegram or Gazette. I don't know if there is a Gazette anymore.
I don't think.
But it's just,
Yeah,
publish in the Telegram, and that satisfies the legal requirement,
I know.
If you're talking about sending flyers to all of the abutters, which I actually think is probably a better idea,
I think so too.
So, in any event, I see arguments for both a negative determination or a positive determination. So if someone wants to make a motion, we can decide what to do.
Well, actually, yeah, can I ask this one other question?
Sure.
We have that town, warning system. Could the town, notify the abutters or notify that they were gonna be spraying those herbicides?
I can't answer that, I don't know. Darlene, can you offer some insight on that?
Sure, thank you for the opportunity to speak. The
Oh,
code
sorry.
red is typically used for some type of emergency. So the code red application that we have We're typically sending out something that is health related or emergency related, anything in that kind of,
I get it.
vein. I mean, I'm not saying that we haven't used it for like community notification of events before, but
I
for the
think
most
that's
part,
like
the code red is used for that. And if we were going to consider that, like I would have to obviously put that as a request to the town manager, to see if we could utilize it, but I'm not sure if the town should be responsible for
For
doing
doing
that.
that.
I think more so CSX, but one of the questions that you're asking about, like how the abutters get notified,
Mhm.
that was something that had come up at a select board meeting, within the past, I'm gonna say, within the past month and a half or so. And part of my participation in your meetings is to just have a better understanding of how this process gets reviewed, because the select board did have some concerns about how people are notified. The gentleman, there've been two recent things, the aquatic notification and then the utility for the CSX have come up. And so Tom has been wonderful about getting the contact person so that we could ask questions. A lot of these plans, it's my understanding from speaking with a professional and through Tom's research, with the documents that they send a link, and then you've got to go onto the link, and then there's a million documents that you have to try to
So,
figure it out.
You know, in all
So it's
honesty,
difficult.
well, in all honesty, they make us have to do that work. And it would be, why don't you just, can tell us which, or they should be able to tell us which herbicides they're going to use. The other question I have here is that it also indicates that notice was given to the Board of Health. Does the Board of Health have an opinion on this?
Typically, we get the notifications, but we're not, I mean, we don't actively review those.
Right. Okay.
Just to be honest with you, and so it has come up. I did ask the professional, one of the contact persons, and I said, what is your process? He said that it is, the overall plan is approved at the state level, and the reason that they have to go through the conservation is for the local process, so they have to go through this board. I've never had anybody request to go through the Board of Health. I mean,
Okay.
we don't have a regulation that
Right, I
says
understand.
that they have to.
The reason I was asking about that emergency thing is because if they think it's significant enough that you should be taking in your pets, that, like kids with, you know, asthma or, there's obviously a health concern there. If they're saying that they're gonna notify people because, that they should be bringing their kids in, that they should be bringing their dogs in, that they're only spraying when it's dry outside, that there isn't any runoff, that there isn't any big winds that are going on. There's obviously a health risk with some of the chemicals that they're using. So, like, they notified people when they were spraying for the mosquitoes.
Yes, we do.
You know what I
So
mean?
that's the Board of Health function.
Okay.
So we do send out notifications. I'm actually responsible for that.
Okay.
So we do the notifications through the Code Red when there is going to be a spray event.
Right.
That is going to
Right.
involve people that may be exposed to.
Can we make them responsible for that?
We can if we issue a positive determination, they've got to file notice of intent, and then we can set conditions. So the way you have some control over this is to make them file notice of intent.
But then they could supersede us, and then,
They could, but the reality is they could file a request for a superseding order, but if they want to do that, let them do it. I think obviously you have concerns about the health of the neighbors. I think they're legitimate concerns, and I think the way you address those concerns is to require them to file notice of intent. You know, it's either one way or the other. You can't have it, you can't split the baby on this.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I just want to make one other comment. I do recall that Callahan, when he was here, he was mentioning when they had the sprayer, that it was a low-pressure sprayer, so it was basically meant just to spray the stuff more or less on the plant vegetation itself, like not be airborne so much, I think.
Okay.
That's the way he described it. But I mean, I do know that it's heavily regulated, because I did a little research myself.
And they did say that it stays right within 10 feet of the rail. They had a very specific process that they outlined of when he's coming down the rail, where they paint it, so they have to go out and do the prep work of painting it, where they have to turn the sprayer off. There's like a lot of regulations, and part of the conversation with him was that this is, the overall plan is approved at the state level, and there are many exemptions that they don't have to do so many things, but I don't know that it's meant to go around the towns. I think it's more meant to make sure that the overall goal to make sure that the
Train doesn't go off the
train
rails.
doesn't go off the tracks, but there's also like to keep the vegetation down, to keep the risk of fire, you know, the vegetation overgrowth. So I think there's benefits of why they're doing that as well. So it's balancing those out with what the requirements are.
I mean, and for what it's worth, I will say this. We know that when there's we get a controversial filing with the commission, people that are affected or potentially affected do tend to show up. No one, to my memory, has ever shown up when it's come to the
No.
spraying of the vegetation. So, for whatever that's worth, I just wanted to make that comment.
I know that we've done this before and it just proceeded with, so.
Well, it's like, you know, make a motion and we'll see what happens with it.
I say we just do it. I think that you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar, and I'm gonna say I vote a negative determination on this one.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
One of the things I noticed, I mean, I know what it's all about, the wetlands and that, but it's not really close to any houses, for sure, according to their drawings, you know.
Well, if you think about it, who would want to live near a railroad track, you know? So,
People are listening to it.
I would like to amend the negative determination, just,
well, no, there's a motion. So
Okay.
if you want to amend Michelle's motion, tell us what your amendment is.
okay. My amendment would be just that we have a copy of their protocols on hand and the chemicals they're using.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's really all we're looking for, right?
So basically, negative determination subject to them providing protocols and a list of herbicides to be used.
Correct.
Okay. And how about also notification when they're going to start the work? Okay.
We agree.
All right, so her motion, your amendment, is there a second?
Second.
No,
Or
you
can't
may-
do it.
no.
You're gonna-
Second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, it's a vote. Okay. We are not going to be meeting in executive session this evening because Attorney Hennigan is not available. We're going to continue that to July 9th. And then, is Mr. Lewis going to call in
He was
regarding?
supposed to call in, but I don't see him on here.
All right, well, we're not going to wait for him. I think that's it, right?
Just had a couple things through the chair.
Sure.
In the package was the Quinn report for last month for 3 Commerce Drive.
Right,
On the back page, he's looking for them to put the berm in along the road once that stuff gets established, and that should make that area on the other side of the road that wasn't established through the winter time all set. And once that's done, we can conduct, like a final walkthrough
all right,
of that site.
all right, very good. So any idea when that might be done?
Probably, I think his letter said that he was thinking by next month it should be stabilized.
Okay. And then, apparently, back in February of 2020, so that would have been right before the onset of COVID, we had a meeting, and Michelle, you and I are the only members left from that year. So, we had a meeting, but for whatever reason, minutes were not done. So Tom was able to cobble together minutes based on reviewing the video from that meeting. It's not on the agenda for tonight. And apparently, even if you were not on the commission back then, you can approve the meeting minutes. Obviously, it makes sense for you and I to go through them,
Okay.
and then,
Are they in my stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're in what I brought tonight, small.
and I think we also have to do an order of conditions for 427 Leicester Street. So is there a motion?
So we need my minutes.
Thank you. Sorry.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
No. I don't have it. Do you have it? Oh,
Back of that package, I
no. I took everything out of there.
Here's
The
427.
conservation, the reservoir thing,
It's 427.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
the turning point thing. I put new stuff in that one. Well, new old stuff, the stuff for next week, or next meeting.
So for the February 26, 2020 meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah. I gave, everybody got a copy in that small package tonight.
Oh, thank you. Oh my gosh. Did I just miss something?
Okay, so we're not gonna take up the meeting minutes for February 2020 tonight.
Oh, okay.
The only thing we need that's left to be done tonight is to
The
issue
order of
it
conditions?
for 427 Leicester Street.
Okay. Yeah, that's old enough that we really don't need to. So who's doing the order of conditions? Somebody looking at me? 'Cause I don't really
And,
know.
anyone that wants to,
And I wasn't there.
poor Ricky.
Fine.
Ricky was, he had a trial by fire at the last meeting, but he
He
came
did.
through
You did awesome.
with flying colors. So,
I really didn't look at
Um,
this place.
So this is just a regular residential
it is,
thing,
right?
so.
They have to put in a new septic system and a well.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty straightforward.
yeah, so would it cover all of these, or?
Well, I don't think all of the conditions apply,
Oh, okay,
So
we have to pick.
again, I mean, I could make some suggestions.
I didn't even find this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm having problems getting words. I make a motion to issue a notice of intent for,
You mean order of conditions? Okay,
oh good. I make a motion to issue an order of conditions for 427 Leicester Street, with the standard conditions as well as the following special conditions.
okay,
Number 1.
yep,
Number 2.
yep,
Number 3.
Yep.
Number 5.
right,
Number 8.
yep,
Number 9.
Yep.
Number 11.
yep,
There's nothing within the 25 foot, right?
correct. Number 12, maybe? Well, no, there's no wetland restoration, so 12 doesn't apply. How about 15?
Yeah, I think 15 is good.
Okay. Is that your motion?
Yes.
Okay, so standard order plus special conditions 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 11, and 15. Is there a second?
A second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's a vote. And I think that will do it. Is there a motion to close?
Oh, sorry, just real quick, what is this thing for like the superseding determination of applicability?
All right, so this is considered other business.
Oh, okay.
So you
I
may
mean,
recall.
that's for next time, we can talk about it next time.
Well, I can go through it very quickly, I think. So you may recall that we have received request for determination of applicability, right?
Yep.
Because there was a property owner who wanted to cut down some trees because they claimed the trees posed a danger to their home. I actually went out there, I inspected the trees, and the trees appeared to be healthy. I did not see any sort of imminent danger. They still wanted to proceed with cutting them down. After a lot of negotiation, and Ms. Quayle has painful memories of this, they did file a request for determination of applicability. It eventually made our agenda for our meeting in December, and then they withdrew the request for determination from the meeting. They basically canceled the meeting. And then they then apparently, the property owner then went ahead and filed a request for a superseding determination with DEP. Well, since they withdrew their
Yeah.
request for determination, to my mind, there was never anything for DEP to supersede. But apparently, as the letter from DEP says, DEP had certain conditions that were requested that were not complied with by that property owner, and so the request for superseding determination was dismissed by
Okay.
DEP. So that's it.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, vote. All right, everyone, thank you very much. Try to stay cool.
No.